Bruchim Habayim, welcome everyone. We're continuing on our journey through Hilchot Shabbat, the beginning of Shulchan Aruch in Siman Mem-Zayin is what we started last time, and we're up to Seif Bet, Daf Yud Aleph, Amud Aleph, in your regular prints of the Mishna Berura. And of course, discussion is about the packages, sending letters, boxes, packages, ordering Amazon boxes, UPS, USPS, next day mail and overnight items and so on. So we spoke about the fundamentals of the sugya. Now Maran writes, "Im hitnai Moshe iten lo scharo, afal pishlo perash kama iten lo." If you tell the guy, "I will give you your schar," no worries. It's not. I'm not asking you for a favor. It's a paid job. I'm gonna, pay you. You'll be happy. You'll be happy. I'll pay you, no problems. But you didn't tell him how much you pay him. It's not that you tell, "Okay, deliver this box for me. I give you $20." It's not a specific amount that you set for it, but you said and you promised that you will pay. Dino kekotzes, says the Shulchan Aruch, that's sufficient. That's good enough. If he knows that he's getting paid for this, well, he's good to go. It doesn't have to be a specific amount mentioned necessarily. Because now he trusts that the Jew is going to pay him well, he's going to take care of him, and his tircha, his work, is not going to be in vain. So therefore, when he is working, when he is traveling, when he is delivering the box, he is working not for the Jew as a favor, but for himself as a means of making money. Aval bistam, but if you just ask him to deliver a package for you without the promise of the payment, in that case, even though that you yourself are thinking that I'll pay him, I'm not asking him for a favor, but if the goy doesn't know that the promise hasn't been made for payment, asur, that would be asur, because the goy doesn't know for sure. He's saying, well, maybe he'll pay me, maybe he won't, and therefore, when he is working, he's working for the Yid, for the Jew, and that, of course, will be a problem. So says the Chafetz Chaim, says the Mishna Berura, afal pi sheyesh b'da'ato, even though that you want to pay him, if you didn't tell him, it's going to be a problem. Rotzeh lomar, lo mibaya im hayno Yehudi mistapek klal im yitnu lo sachar dasur. Let alone, it goes without saying, that if the goy thinks that maybe I'm not going to get paid at all, in that case, for sure it will be asur. That doesn't need to be said even. But not only that, even afilu im ha-Yisrael mevin mimenu shemesaper sachar meito, even if the Jew reads in between the lines in the body language and the hints and so on, that the goy is expecting payment from him or from the person that he's sent to deliver the box for them, afilu achi asur, even with that, even though that the goy is expecting it, he's thinking that he's going to get paid, and you see it from their language, from their body language, and hints, still would be asur. You can't say, well, he's expecting payment, so it means that when he's working, he's going to be working for himself. No. It all depends on whether or not the Jew promised him properly to compensate for his hard work. Says the Shulchan Aruch in Seif Gimal, Im scharo leyamim davar katzu b'kol yom ba'alichato u'b'chazarato. If you gave him a set payment for every day, when he goes, delivers, and comes back, so it's a daily payment. It says every day that you deliver for me to this in this town, this in this place, you get $50. If that's a set price that he knows what he gets paid, but you don't care when he goes. Whenever you go, if you're going to point A, you get $10. If you go to point B, you get $20. It's known how much you will get per travel, depending on how far it is. and you don't really care when he's got to take it. It's not that you're in a rush, so you don't mind if he doesn't take it on Shabbat, or when he takes it. Says the Shulchan Aruch, in such case, imhu be'erev Shabbat, if you are sending him on Friday, would be asur. Because when he goes on Shabbat to deliver it, it will be a problem of marit ayin. It looks like you asked him to do it on Shabbat. So therefore, even though that you technically don't care when exactly he's going to go, because he gets paid per travel and he's leaving on Erev Shabbat, which most probably the travel is going to be on Shabbat, it will be a problem. Says the Chafetz Chaim, Im scharo leyamim rotze lomar de'af sheitnu le'el bekatzas afilu be'erev Shabbat. We mentioned that it's mutar to do it on Erev Shabbat if you have ktzitza. If you told him, do the job, I pay you this much. So even though that's mutar, that's only when you have a set price for the job defined to him as the delivery man. Because then he's doing it for himself. And it's not known to anybody that this job that's being done, that delivery that's being done, is for a Jew. You don't see it. It's not written anywhere. Here is the nuanced difference. But when you hire the person for days, so every day that you go and deliver, for the day you get paid X amount of dollars, that every day has its own schar. It's not dependent on the job. It's a day pay. Says the Mishna Berura, even though that you're not very specific whether he works on Shabbat or he doesn't, and he certainly, when he's going on Shabbat, he's doing it because of himself, because you didn't tell him, you don't expect him to go on Shabbat, so he's doing it for his own comfort level. It works for him to go on Shabbat, and technically should be mutar. Mikol makom, says the Chafetz Chaim, keshesochro be'erev Shabbat asur. When you hire him on Erev Shabbat, it's going to be asur. The kevan she'oseh techef Shabbat nireh kilu hitna imo kach v'kach u'b'shlichuto olech. When people see, the onlooker sees that you go to this guy, you hire him, right? 5 minutes before Shabbat, and then he gets on his horse on Shabbat and he runs with your package. What do you think people are going to think? They're going to think that you are hiring him for the day. Because you gave him schar for the day. In other words, if I see somebody that was hired by a Jew right now, and I see him getting a payment of the day, and I speak to him, he says, yeah, he just paid me for the day $50, right? So my mind right away goes that for the day means today. You're hired for today, for the day. You're getting paid for the day that you work, and that's Shabbat. Because on Friday, he's got to go. This would have been mutar on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It'll be fine. But if you do it on Friday, the combination of the fact that right before he goes on Shabbat, you spoke with him, you hired him, and the fact that when you ask him, he says, yeah, I got paid for the day, that sounds like you hired him to work on Shabbat. Whereas, if the guy is asked and he says, well, the Jew told me, deliver this whenever you want and I'll pay you $50, that's pretty clear that I'm not getting paid for the day, I'm getting paid for the job. So again, it's a nuanced difference here, but it is important when it gets to the halachot of marit ayin, of what does and what does not look a proper action, what is going to be suspicious for people. and what's not, this becomes pretty nuanced in that realm. But again, halachically speaking, if the goy is doing it for himself, which in this case it is, they don't have a technical problem. You only have technical Shabbat problem, but we have a Marit Ayin issue that you would have to take care of. Now, the Mamar Mordechai explains, tries to explain the Shulchan Aruch over here, which again it's pretty nuanced, that even though that this looks like katzas, still there is a little bit of Marit Ayin, because it seems like you are sending him tomorrow on Shabbat to do the job because you gave him a payment of a day, not payment of a job to be done. And the day that he works is Shabbat, so therefore it looks pretty bad. But if you give him a set thing for all of the days of his shlichut, his job, then it will be fine, because it's not based on 1 day payment. It's like, you go do this job, it takes whatever amount of days, I'm paying you this much for all the days of your work. Then it's basically like katzas. That's the same thing as a contractor job. But if you say per day I'm paying you, and it happens to be that you really mean for him to work on Shabbat, not that you care, but you're hiring him on Erev Shabbat, minutes before Shabbat, what do you think he's going to do? Of course he's going to go on Shabbat, and you're paying him for the day that he works, a day. That day is yours, so that pretty much seems like you are hiring him for Shabbat, and that will be the nuance difference over here, why this is Asur, whereas if you would have a contract job, will be Mutar.
What if it's per hour?
Again, this would be, we'll get to the hourly a little bit later, and the Ben Ish Chai, well, we generally assume that it's the Ben Ish Chai in Shalot Utshuvot Torah Lishma. He actually discusses this, whether or not hourly paid jobs that he ends up doing it on Shabbat will be a problem or won't be a problem when you don't necessarily care about the day that it's done. You just want to pay him based on the amount of time that he put in, whether or not that is mutar. The simple understanding based on what we have seen so far should come out that it will be the same thing as this. It will be a problem if you do it early on. That would end up being a problem. But nevertheless, it will depend really on the parameters that we discuss, and some of them we have not seen yet. We'll also come back to this in Mitzvah Hashem, discussing the Ben Ish Chai's tshuva. So it says the we completed basically the Seif, the last piece, Yudalit, says Be'erev Shabbat, aval beyom chamishi mutar. This is only asur on Erev Shabbat. On Thursday even, it's mutar. Oldat harama le'el ba'aga afilu lo katzas klal mutar beyom chamishi. Fine. The Seif Dalit, Maran writes, Im ha'enu Yehudi molicha ketav bechinam. What if he's doing you a favor? The guy says, look, you've done a lot of favors to me. I'm going there anyways. No problem. Give me your package. Give me your letter. I will be taking it for you. Don't worry about the payment whatsoever. Is that mutar or is that asur? Right? So says the Shulchan Aruch, Im ha'enu Yehudi molicha ketav bechinam, afilu netana lo be'erev Shabbat, mutar. Then, even if it's on Friday, it will be mutar. Share ha'enu Yehudi me'elav hu oseken, because the Gentile is doing it on his own. He's not hired by you to do it. It's only to express his debt of gratitude for what the Jew perhaps has done for him before, or for what he is expecting to build a relationship for. But therefore it will be mutar. That is considered like katzas. It's worth something for him, this act that he's doing, either because of what he has accepted from before from the Jew, and he's trying to repay, so to speak, or what he's hoping to gain in future, and that is considered equivalent of a ktisa. V'yesh cholkim v'svira lehu tekol she'oseh bechinam asur. Rama argues with this. Rama says there are those who say, oh, anything that's for free is worth free. It's not worth anything. So therefore it's going to be asur. If he's doing a favor for you, it's going to be asur, because vadai dato al hatova sheyekabel mimenu, because it's going to be v'tov la'achmir. Says, I skipped a few words. It says the Rama, v'tov la'achmir, it's good to be machmir like this shita, aval b'makom sha'an Yehudi matchil im Yisrael lomar she'ilech lo bechinam. But if he initiates, it's not that you ask him, can you take my package? He says, yeah, of course, and don't worry about the payment. But he comes to you, says, look, I'm going to, do you want to take something there? I'm going to this in the city. If you have a package I could take for you. If he offers it himself, he initiates it himself, says the Rama, then you certainly could be mekel, because that's for sure for a tova that he wants to accept. He has in mind to develop a relationship for his own good. That's why he's initiating this relationship, and therefore it will be like payment of katsas and will be mutar. So says the Mishna Berura, even though that you don't have to force him, you tell him to take it, and he's more than happy to take it for free. That would be still the same case. That will be it would be mutar. And the Rama who says it's better to be machmir not to do it, you see from the language of a tov la'achmir that it's lechatchila, meikar adin, halachically speaking, technically speaking, the Rama also agrees with Maran that it would be mutar. But in the actual sefer of the Rama that was written on the Tur in Darkei Moshe, you see that he is very much tilted to this shita, that meikar adin, even a person should be machmir and not rely on the leniency of the first shita. V'chen belebushu b'liyaraba mashma da'asur bechinam. V'alken ma'nachon she'iksov lo. Says Mishna Berura says best is to just make a ktisa. Now, for us the Sfaradim, kibalnu oraot Maran, we go after the psak of Maran over here, even though that we are mindful of those achronim who are more stringent. The Mordechai writes that Maran is not mechalek. It does not make any differentiation between if the Jew initiated it, if the Goy initiated it. In every case is mutar, and many of the achronim, the Sfaradim, pass in the same way. Chacham Obadia, Rabbi Shalom in Chazar Obadia, Shabbat Chelek Aleph, he also brings a number of Sfari poskim who are mekel, and so says the Chazar Obadia. Now, Kaf HaChaim brings this discussion, and he says best to do a ktisa, to be yotzei the chova of everyone, but he also acknowledges that for us, the Sfaradim, certainly it will be mutar, and that concludes Seif Dalit. Be'ezrat Hashem will start Seif Hey in the days to come. Hazaku Baruch.